This is the review segment of the show. Let me, without further delay, run you through the topics you are discussing for the morning. Opposition party agrees to join SA Unity government. Ambulance case, court admits audio into evidence. Speak truth to Vice President Asante Hene. Injured old woman dies after Winneba Hospital abandons her in the bush. The Daily Searchlight with this one. So these are the topics we are discussing for the morning. I've been joined by Dr. Ramsey Enusa. He's a medical doctor, but also a staunch member of the Movement for Change. Doc, good morning.
Good morning to you, Bless.
Right. Also, I've been joined by the Honorable Member of Parliament for the Sagnarigo constituency, Alhaji A.B.A. Fussein. It's been a while we had him here, but finally we have him back. Alhaji, good morning.
Yeah.
And welcome back to the show. We miss you.
My brother, sometimes some unavoidable assignments come up that you have to exit the jurisdiction a bit. So, you know that if I had my way, Pan-Africa is a home here, so you will always be here every day to do what is needful in the supreme interest of our people.
Right.
And so, once in a while, you take these exits and come back more strengthened. So,
right. Right.
I miss Pan-Africa hippopotamus.
Right. Without further ado, we'll get into our first topic for conversation, African Story, but always reminding you that we are live on Facebook, yes. So join us on Facebook if you can. Join us on YouTube if you can. Leave your messages. I'll read them as the show progresses. But let's start our first conversation. Opposition party agrees to join SA Unity government. The leader of South Africa's Inkatha Freedom Party, IFP, says his party has agreed to form part of a government of national unity that includes the African National Congress, ANC, and the biggest opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, that is the DA. Velenkosini Labisa told reporters at a media briefing in Durban on Wednesday the only option were to become part of the government or part of the opposition. The people of South Africa who voted said that the political parties must find a common ground. Mr. Labisa said South Africans have been eagerly waiting to know who would form the next government after the ANC lost its majority in last month's election. This is the first official indication that a government of national unity has been agreed, although the DA and ANC have not yet commenced. The ANC has previously said it wanted to form a unity government and had engaged with all of the country's opposition parties. The new parliament is due to be sworn in on Friday after the country's top court dismissed a bid by former President Jacob Zuma's party, MK, to stop its first sitting. This is when the parliament is expected to elect a president, so the ANC would hope to have agreed a deal by then. It insists that Cyril Ramaphosa must remain the country's leader. The ANC vote fell below 50% for the first time since Nelson Mandela led them to victory in 1994 and ended the racist system of apartheid, forcing them to look for coalition partners. The ANC got about 40% of the vote, with the center-right Democratic Alliance DA on 22%, the MK party on 50%, and the Radical Economic Freedom Fighters on 9%. The IFP, which is a conservative party with a strong Zulu base, got about 4% of the vote share in the election. Many ANC activists would prefer to do a deal with the EFF and MK, which are both led by former senior ANC officials. So this is the entire story as captured by the Daily Graphic newspaper. I won't bore you with further words. I'd allow Alhaji A.B.A. Fussein to commence the conversation. Alhaji.
Yeah, thank you very much. Bless. Good morning to your good self, to my colleague, brother and comrade, to our technical people, to the viewers of Pan-Africa out there, and of course, as always, the Blichina people of the Sagnarigo constituency, to whom I always say I owe an irreparable debt of gratitude. Happily, at least I was in South Africa and I managed to peruse what had happened in respect of these elections. And the elections were historic for a number of reasons. Principally, so because the this was the period where, if you saw the participants in the elections, was a record number of political parties and independent candidates. I think since the liberation of the country from apartheid and the first election in 1994, which gave the African National Congress, ANC, a landslide, this has been the most widely patronized election in South Africa, giving credence to the fact that their democratic process had actually deepened and elicited the participation of many political parties. I was astonished to find the list. I mean, the electoral commission, the ballot paper, and it stretches so long. They have to replicate it in many instances. So it was a very significant development in their democratic process, where the participation levels had reached that crescendo. And many had anticipated that it will inexorably lead to a higher turnout. And in the morning, when queues began to form in some of the polling stations, long queues, people anticipated that the turnout was going to be low. Of course, I'm sure the national figure did not bear out a very large turnout as expected. I think about 56%, closer to that margin. And the historic nature of it was that for the first time since the liberation of the country from apartheid, the African National Congress, the dominant political party and the party that led the anti-colonial struggle, anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa, lost its majority. In other words, the ANC could not garner the requisite 50% plus 1 to be able to govern alone. I'm sure you are aware that previously the ANC had more than a comfortable majority in parliament and was able to go alone. Now, this election, let me also emphasize, was not just an election for members of parliament. It was also for the provinces. South Africa, as you know, so there's a federal, quite a federal territory where provinces exercise some degree of autonomy. And so the elections were also for provincial councils where the political parties contested. And so in that same vein, they also needed to elect people in their provincial legislatures, which ultimately would take control of the administration of those provinces. And so I think there are about 16 or so provinces in South Africa also held elections. And in those ones, they also needed to cross the threshold of the 50% plus 1. And so that was it. And it is important to explain the South African political architecture for people to understand. It is not like a presidential election where we have here. You will have to elect parliament, for members of parliament to go and elect the president. So many people are unaware of the political architecture. So the reason why parliamentary elections in South Africa is so crucial, because if you control parliament, you inexorably have access to the presidency. So that is what happens. So it is after the election, members of parliament are sworn in, they go and they elect the speaker, they will elect the deputy speaker, elect other important officers of the house, and then ultimately go for the election of the president and the vice president. So I'm sure clearly this is the political architecture in South Africa. So given that the ANC for the first time could not meet the 50 plus 1 threshold and consequently did not have the majority, it set an unprecedented political situation in the country. Never since the liberation from apartheid has the country been through this system where you more or less had a hang, if you want to say, parliament, opposition and the governing ANC all locked up in the lack of numbers to deal with the situation. And for me, the crunch of the matter that denied the ANC the requisite majority they have been enjoying was the emergence of the MK party in Konto with Sizwe. a breakaway from former President Jacob Zuma, who, as we all know, was once not just the president of the ANC, but the president of the entire South African country. And so, because of differences that emerged, he broke away from the ANC, and within 6 months, I think within the last 6 months, founded the Nkonto Sizwe. In Zulu, that means spear of the nation. But everybody knows that Nkonto Sizwe is an African National Congress emblem. It's a symbol, but he used it. Yeah. And so, naturally, it attracted a lot of ANC people. Zuma was able to take away a lot of ANC people along with him. And for that matter, especially in areas like KwaZulu-Natal, he was able to, in fact, win. Of course, he didn't get the 50% plus one. He got about, I think, 45% in KwaZulu-Natal. And that virtually broke the back of the ANC's ability to, get that majority. And so, you see that the leading of the ANC, the EFF, the Economic Freedom Fighters led by Julius Malema, had earlier, they have been in existence for some time now, and they are also seen as part of the ANC. So if you are going to actually calculate the traditional ANC vote, you look at the EFF, the Economic Freedom Fighters, you look at Nkonto Sizwe, principally. And if you add them, EFF had a 9%, Nkonto Sizwe, led by Jacob Zuma, had 14%. So if you add the two, that would be 23%. If you add that 23% to the ANC's slightly over 40% vote, you are getting about over 63% of the vote. So clearly, this will tell you that this is how the ANC has bled its base to the point that the votes have been taken away. So this is the situation. And now, of necessity, the ANC for the first time will have to form a government of national unity. Now the ball game now is which party is ready and prepared to go into coalition with the ANC. Which parties is the ANC prepared to tolerate as coalition partners in the game? I think that is the games that are being played now. And it's a very delicate, difficult issue to navigate. Because there are, first and foremost, serious ideological issues underpinning the formation of the coalition. There are many ANC people even within the current ANC, who are opposed to having the DA, the Democratic Alliance. Mainly, they see the Democratic Alliance as the white people's party, and they see it as a party that is an agglomeration of the oppressors. They still see them as some of the white boys and others who were perpetrators of the evil apartheid system. And so it is very difficult for some ANC people to accept that we are now going into coalition with people who oppressed us and did all these terrible things to our people in the course of the apartheid system. And so how do we go into a government with them? It's a crunch issue. On the other hand, there are many who think that the DA has about 23% of the vote. Going into coalition with them itself gives you stability. It means that they will have over 63% of the votes in parliament, and they can pass legislation readily, and so it guarantees them stability. And that also, it may send positive signals to the market that the country has a very stable and united government, and so investments would come flowing back into South Africa, the economy will be buoyant, jobs will be created. And let me say that one of the biggest problems in the South African election was about jobs. Unemployment was a critical factor in the decision. Of course, they have some doomsday. They have some doomsday issue to also deal with in South Africa, and so it also featured in the elections. But unemployment and crime, those are critical issues in South Africa today, and so in the elections they featured very prominently. And there are those who are advocating for a grand coalition between the ANC and the DA are saying that if they are able to consummate that alliance and work, it will be in the supreme interest of South Africa and will attract investment. But it is also underpinned by serious ideological and political differences, which need to be ironed out. And of course, you also know, and I have commended the ANC very highly for what they did. You know, the ANC managed to gather the political resolve to take the atrocities and the genocidal acts of the Israeli government on what they are doing to the Palestinian people to the International Criminal Court. They are not too comfortable whether the GA is a party that is amenable to accepting. You know, and you know the history. Yeah. The history is that the Israeli government and the Zionist regime in Israel was a keen supporter of the apartheid system in South Africa. In fact, they worked closely together when apartheid was invoked. And so people still see the DA as a keen supporter of the Zionist regime in Israel, and for that matter, by extension, some of the atrocities and the human rights abuses and genocidal acts they are committing in Gaza today. And so, how do you coexist with a government, in a government that has sent more or less your ally to court? And so those issues are also there. You also have the possibility of getting Julius Malema's EFF, Economic Freedom Fighters, also joining the coalition. But the difficulty is how to, as it were, bring on board issues that the EFF stands for and which they have prosecuted all the years since their foundation. Because the EFF believe that since the liberation of the country from apartheid, from the time of President Mandela and others, the status quo in the country has remained. The land issue, which is the most critical issue in South Africa, where the whites have over 70% of the best lands, still remain in their hands. Wealth is still in the hands of the white minority. So not much has changed. And so the plank on which the EFF has prosecuted its campaign is that there must be redistribution of both the land and the wealth of the country, and to ensure that South Africans in that wealth imbalance have the matters addressed. There are also issues of migration. There are many of the political parties, including the DA and others, who are championing that there should be mass expulsion of other Africans who are seen as illegal immigrants from South Africa, which the EFF has opposed. In fact, the EFF I want to say is a progressive political party that champions the unity of Africa, as Osagyefo, the legendary founder of our nation, has championed. That Africans are all one people, and irrespective of wherever they come from, even the borders that we have across the length and breadth of our continent should all be broken up so that Africans can fully integrate. That is the policy and philosophy of the EFF. And so they are implacably opposed to any suggestions that they should drive away fellow Africans, whether they are illegal aliens or others from this. But that is a key present now on the ANC-led coalition to deal with in this particular aftermath of the election, where many South Africans think that the foreigners have come, they are taking their jobs, they are doing so many things, they are even making allegations of crime and laying it exclusively at the doors of the foreigners who are coming. Of course, you know that this cannot, you cannot say that crimes perpetrated in the country are as a result of foreigners. It's like the same Trumpian philosophy, where President Trump blames foreigners for all the wars in America. He said they are rapists, they are criminals, they are all those. So you have a similar thing in South Africa. So there are difficult areas to navigate in the bid to form the government of national unity. And so it's taking time. As we speak now, the South African, the ANC has not yet come out to pronounce who are the coalition partners. Which parties is it going into government with? And so it's part of this navigation of the territory. Otherwise, the easiest, and the next one would have been Nkonto with Sizwe, which has 14%. If you add the 40% to the 40% of the ANC, it should get you over 54%. But there are implacable differences, especially personal differences between President Zuma and former President Zuma and then President Ramaphosa. To the point that In fact, in the aftermath, the immediate aftermath of the election, the MK indicated that they are prepared to go into coalition with ANC only if they sack President Ramaphosa. And Mbalula, who is the general secretary of the ANC, came out to say that that is a no-go area. It's non-negotiable. You cannot dictate to the party that has the biggest number that they should sack their president in order for you to come and have coalition with them. So you see, so there are difficulties. Whichever party that the ANC looks at, they have difficulties. But it has to take some degree of political will and compromise, because you cannot get everything that you like, especially in difficult times like this. Right. So they may have to make compromises, and whatever choice the ANC makes will definitely come with some baggage. Right. But I think that at the end of the day, the beautiful thing about it is that the election went on peacefully. In fact, very transparent. And I want to highly commend the Independent Electoral Commission. They call it Independent Electoral Commission, IEC, for the good work they have done. And I think that those of us in other parts of Africa have the South African example to emulate in their bid to do free, fair and transparent election. And I believe that our EC can go to South Africa and learn useful lessons about how to bring all parties on board, how to engender the requisite level of confidence and credibility, so that at the end of the day, the December 7th election we are going to conduct here will be done free, fair, transparent, credible, and everybody would have confidence in that election. So I think that this is what South Africa is in today. Right.
Dr. Ramsey.
Yes, a very good morning to you, and a good morning to your cherished viewers and our fellow Pan-Africans watching across Africa. Plus, the South African elections and the post-events of the elections earmark a new era in South Africa's history. The ANC, since coming into power in 1994, led by our beloved Nelson Mandela, has not been able to achieve the desires of the ordinary South African since it has led for almost 30 years now. Plus, today democracy is, of course, winning in South Africa. And the ANC has been given their humble pie to eat, because for almost 30 years now, they have been dominant in the Parliament of South Africa. Of course, they did not take into consideration certain policies suggested by these smaller parties, because they were not the majority in Parliament and so did not have the means to appoint the president. And so they've been enjoying this free ride for 30 years. But of course, the people of South Africa have seen a lot of inequality. They have issues with power supply, just as we face in Ghana, issues with water supply, high unemployment rate, and inflation that has plagued the economy of South Africa. And all these collectively was what was taken to the polls to ensure that each and every facet or each and every demography of the South African society, right, would express their desires that enough is enough with this divisive politics in South Africa. And indeed, the people have shown that they want a collective government for the collective development of the South African people. And I am glad that the South African government, which is the ANC, the ruling government, has agreed, because without that they can't elect a president. South Africa would not have anyone to man the executive. So I'm very, very happy that today the South African government, led by the ANC, is agreeing to a government of national unity, which is one of the themes that underpins the movement for change that we need indeed to move away from the duopoly of the MPP and the NDC that has led this country for almost 32 years now, and form a government of national unity so that nobody or no groupings in Ghana, right, will be left out when we are formulating long-term developmental policies for our development. Bless, a lot of people confuse the Progressive Party, right, with the other progressive party that the DA, the Democratic Alliance, finds its roots from. So in 1908, there was a party by name the Progressive Party in the Cape Colony that was a pro-imperialist, right, pro-apartheid, pro-white, pro-Afrikaans party that ensured that the black people in South Africa will become second-class citizens and will be treated like slaves, as we all know the history of South Africa. Now, the DA party finds its roots from a different progressive party, which was founded in around 1956, right? And this party was predominantly white and a mixture of these Africans and then the Indians. But they were against the ideals of that earlier progressive party of 1908. And they were against racism, against apartheid, against social segmentation that would ensure that the black people in South Africa will be impoverished, right? And, you know, the funny thing is that if you look at how the DA has risen, I am not surprised. Because there is something deep to their rise in terms of the electoral numbers, right? They got almost 20% of the votes. Bless, one of the issues that was raised was that the ANC, which I agree with my senior colleague here, the Israelis supported the apartheid regime, right? Which the ANC was one of the political bodies that fought against the apartheid regime. Now, this DA, right, Bless, this DA party, having roots from a progressive party, got some form of support from this Israeli government in this current election, and some anti-Palestine entities. And so if you look at the political financing of the DA, how they rose to this extravagant numbers in the polls, it shows clearly that there was some form of interference in the election of South Africa in terms of the financing of the DA, because they were supported by countries that think that Israel should continue its diabolic, its evil practices on the innocent civilians of the state of Palestine, and not adhere to the two-state solutions that was propounded by the UN and other international agencies. Bless. And so, away from that, this DA party also is in talks with the ANC. But if you look at the proposal that they have on the table, the DA party is proposing that the ANC should repeal the Black Empowerment Program, which was brought into fusion after the end of the apartheid regime, which the apartheid regime ensured that the black people in the South African society would not be able to have that economic power to develop. And so the ANC, knowing the woes of the black people after the apartheid regime, implemented the Black Empowerment Program, which today the DA is saying that, well, South Africa is for everyone. And so if you want to empower only black people, then it's not fair, because there are also Africans, there are also some third, fourth generation Indians also in South Africa. And so there should be equity as espoused by the Constitution, right? There should be a policy that is egalitarian in nature to meet the demands of all South Africans, irrespective of your race or your ethnicity. And they also argue that the national health insurance of South Africa should be repealed, which was supposed to give universal health coverage to all South Africans who are living under the Constitution. And if you look at these two policies, especially the NHI bill that they are against, I don't think that the ANC would accept that, because imagine Ghana repealing its NHIS policy. I mean, can you imagine the number of people that will not be able to have access to healthcare? And so this is a victory for the democracy of South Africa. And indeed, they have shown the way that absolute power corrupts. And that has been the nature of the ANC since 1994 to date. They have had power. They do not take into consideration the needs or the policies suggested by smaller parties, because they dominate parliament. And for that matter, they have power in the executive. But today, I am glad that South Africa is going to form a government of national unity. And going forward, the people of South Africa would be well represented. And the policy proposals of the smaller parties would be taken into consideration. Bless. And you know, this is a victory for the small parties that could not get these the benchmark or the threshold to be able to elect a president, which is 50% or 50+1. And so this is a victory for the smaller parties. Their policies will be taken into consideration, and the small groupings or the small ethnicity that they represent, because the IFP is predominantly Zulu, right? It represents it's a very conservative Zulu party, and so majority of its members are Zulus. And if you look at the social demography of South Africa, the Zulus are, apart from KwaZulu-Natal, which is predominantly Zulu, if you look at certain provinces and certain areas, or you realize that the Zulus are quite impoverished, right? And so I believe that the IFP coming into fusion with the ANC will be able to propagate its policies on how they would eradicate poverty and social inequalities in South Africa. And so this is a victory for South Africa, and I hope that the Ghanaian society would take inspiration from this, that it is time to put an end to the duopoly of the MPP and the NDC and bring on board a government of national unity as espoused by our leader, Honorable Alan Kojo Tramantin, so that nobody in our society will be left out and no area in Ghana will be left out, so that we have an egalitarian long-term development plan to meet the teething needs of our people and ensure absolute social and economic development.
Right, thank you, Dr. Ramsey Yunusa. Let me say a good morning to a habitual latecomer.
Oh, how do you use such
a habitual latecomer? You remember Moses
you can't do that.
He is a habitual latecomer.
No. You can do that.
Alaji is, and he lives here.
But
I can.
It's not where he lives.
Precisely.
It's what happened to him.
Thank you very much, Alaji. Thank you very much.
He's fond of it.
So I would want to.
Is it one Pan-African course?
No.
Precisely.
He has had so much benefit of that.
The legal maxim, you don't condemn a man.
Thank you. How do you do this? How do you do
He
this?
has had so.
Alaji, you are very right.
He has had so much benefit
You see,
of
no,
that.
when Pan-African course, I find it difficult to say no.
I can be here.
So despite my tight
You
schedules,
didn't even give him sufficient notice.
of course he didn't.
I called him.
And I'm telling you, Alaji, when they call, I find it extremely difficult to say no. So no matter where I am, I have to show up.
He said no.
But
I was
Last week he said no.
Wednesday, I was in
Last
Lagos.
week he said no.
I was in
Last
Lagos
week he
constituency.
said no.
I was in my constituency.
And then now say me no.
Yes, a very good morning to you, my brother. Very good morning. Good morning to my childhood friend, Dr. Ramsey. Yes, good morning, senior comrade. I salute you,
I
sir.
told you they live. I told you
Okay. He's my childhood friend.
Yes.
neighbors from the 90s. The very early 90s.
Childhood friend. I didn't know you were partners in crime.
They formed the whole
It's not easy. In fact, I went to Lamusi and the roads are terrible. Yes, hitherto it's a 12-13 hour journey by road. Now we are making 20-21 hours. Wow. So you can imagine from Winchi going, the road is terrible. I have to Bamboy Bole. Very, very terrible. And the worst of it all is that when I get to my constituency, Lambusi, there's no quota in Lambusi. I think we will go on record to be the only district in Ghana who has no quota in any part of the road. No third road.
Wow. I see.
Honorable, in fact, we have to put the blame at the doorsteps of the NDC and the NPP. They've done well for Lambusi. They've done well. No, they've done well since 92.
Quote unquote the duopoly.
They've done well. Because the NDC, honorable, your party has held that seat for a very long time.
Yeah, I don't have the details, but I'm sure that it prosecuted substantial development.
Precisely. But the current MP is an NPP guy.
Yeah.
You could see he's one of those MPs.
They actually voted skirt and blouse.
Yeah, they did. He's one of those MPs who's in power but he's in opposition. Because he was not one of those people, yes, Amasa people, you know, he was on the other side and, you know, So you could see that individually he's trying his best, but the government is failing him. So they say, we wish my good people, the people of Lamuse, the very best. I've gone there for a funeral. I spoke to them widely that, look, 2024 is the time for you to make that drastic decision of voting out the NDC and the NPP. And I think the message is sinking down well. And I know my senior comrade will support that call because the CPP is his home. That one, he cannot dodge it.
That's why we want you to come and join us.
So
briefly, implement the progressive agenda
in South Africa, briefly.
Yes. So I believe, yes, after the election, none of the parties was able to garner the 50+1. The ANC had 40-point-something%. And we saw it coming. And because since 94, they have been enjoying serious majority in that country. But we saw it diminishing. And for us, it came to us as no surprise that they are making 40.18%. The other parties also, the EFF also made around almost 10%. So there are about 2 or 3 parties they can actually come into alliance with. And I'm happy today, this is what we call all-inclusive government. And as my good brother was saying, the Ghanaian society will have to take a cue from that. Because in 2024, this election is not going to be easy for them. In that is the NDC and the NPP. It is not an easy election for any of them. And I think we will have a similar resource that after the 9th of December, bless, I'm a prophet, mark it, there will be no clear winner in this election.
Right.
Yes. Right. And I think this is a way to go when there is an alliance, when there is a government which includes people from diverse, factions. It helps and it makes government, broader, it makes it more consultative. And really, this is the approach we have to take as a nation.
I thought the CPP were joining us because of our progressive agenda. So that when we bring power, get power.
Unfortunately, you see, I used to make this argument, and I'll continue making this argument, that, our brothers in the NDC, they say they are like us, with the CPP, that they are Nkrumahs, they are socialists. Unfortunately, when they are in power, they don't exhibit those kinds of traits as Nkrumahs. If they were, then, by now, I think there would have been a grand unity between us and them. But because we don't see the clear path between them and the NPP, we will say that we will hold on to our sacred tradition, which is Nkrumahism. Unfortunately, they don't. They don't practice what they preach when they come to power. So, that is the line. That is where we are drawing the line.
Right.
So we are on the righteous. Right. Very well.
Right. So let's proceed to other conversations.
Yes.
Ambulance case, court admits audio into evidence. Very, very interesting revelations that have happened in court over the last 2 days. The businessman Richard Jakpa, who is on trial for an ambulance deal alongside minority leader Dr. Kiselato Forsen, has informed the High Court that he was reassured by the Attorney General not to worry and that the court would release him upon filing of a no-case finding. That came about following the admission of the businessman's and the AG's recording into evidence by the court chaired by Justice Ifya Sewa Saribotre. Dr. Abdul Bamba, the businessman who told the court he had met the AG 4 times, said he first requested the appointment with the AG through a WhatsApp message during the cross-examination of Dr. Forsen's attorney. AG told me that everybody knows his target is Dr. Forsen, and as for me, I was just added so that it wouldn't look like Dr. Forsen is being haunted. He continued, adding that the AG had requested several documents during the meeting The businessman said that the AG had told him that the accusations had hurt his reputation both domestically and globally, to which he answered, I shouldn't worry at the submission of no case. That was a meeting we held in July 2022, and I said I'll definitely be discharged. Mr. Jakpa said to his surprise, he was ordered to open his defense despite the assurance the AG had given him. Well, it's a long story, but I'm sure we all know what happened in court over the last 2 days. I mean, to the very extent that the allegations of, according to Jakpa, there are allegations of the Attorney General saying that they want to jail Ato Forson, and it has to be quick because you can't have a by-election 6 months to the general election. And so they want him jailed quickly so that the Ejumaku Enyanisiam seat would be vacant, so that there will be a by-election. And according to him, allegedly, the people of the central region are cheap and they'll just have to pump money into that election for the MPP to win it, and then prosecute their agenda for the remaining months to be in power. Alaji.
Yeah. Bless. Long before this case came, I think you can bear eloquent testimony to the position I have always held about this Attorney General, that this is not only the most incompetent Attorney General under the aegis of our Fourth Republic, but the most dangerous, mischievous, immoral, near criminal Attorney General that we've had on a number of issues. Among others, this was somebody who slept on the job and allowed a number of judgment debts to be imposed on this country, including one, I think, that was in London. And so, clearly, like I've always said, if you send your son to the hereafter, he will return, you may not recognize him. And today, his character and disposition is becoming clearer for all Ghanaians. This is an Attorney General who is behaving worse than the untutored party foot soldier. He's not mindful of the fact that he's an Attorney General and a Minister of Justice with a bounden duty to do justice and fairness to all manner of people in our judicial system. He's just minded by political hatchet work. So his conduct is not only unethical, immoral, but a danger to our justice dispensation system. Never in the annals of our country's history have I heard a judge say to an Attorney General prosecuting a case in court that he should recuse himself from the case. Never. I've seen MPP people struggling to put some shine on it by saying it was an advice. In fact, that even makes it worse. If it's an order, you would have said the court order was superimposed by the judge. But for a judge to look you in the face and tell you that I advise you in your own interest and in the interest of your government and in the interest of justice delivery to recuse yourself, this is a huge indictment. It's a monumental indictment. If you have a modicum of decency left in you, after that advice, you should quit and hide yourself for the rest of the year, your life. This is the first officer of the law. The Attorney General is the first officer of the law. And for you to go to court and have this ringing indictment on you, whether it's advice, an order, or force, it's a huge shame. Complementing this, before I come to the main issues on the decision, Bless, is that it has emerged from this particular proceedings in court and as evidence adduced. Because, let me say this ab initio. The tape that is in contention today, Japan mentioned the first part of the tape when the Attorney General was in court. And those who were in court will bear. The Attorney General was seated in court. In fact, he was leading a prosecution that day when it was mentioned. He never denied it. In fact, and when he sought to even table it in, he didn't oppose it. Nowhere since that day up to today, The Attorney General has never come out to deny that the voice that is featured on the tape is not his. Have you heard any such comment? Has anybody heard of a denial by the Attorney General that that is not his voice? So if you put all this together, the matter is clearly authentic in the proceedings that the court, and I'm not surprised that it had to be admitted. So clearly, whatever is said on that tape has legitimacy as far as this matter is concerned. Because like I said, the Attorney General himself was in court when the matter was said. He never denied. He sat there and everything went through. Okay? So, today that it is coming out that it is a campaign of vindictiveness, political vindictiveness, waged by no mean a person than the President of the Republic, President Nana Akufo-Addo. Because it has come out in the tape that he said that he was under pressure from President Akufo-Addo and Ken Ofori-Atta, former finance minister, to cage our leader, the minority leader, Honorable Kesiaba Atufosin. That he's too loud. He's leading the massive exposure of this corruption-ridden Nana Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. And that the best way to deal with him is to cage him. And so this is said by nobody than the chief persecutor. Godfrey Dami, Attorney General, that he was at the extreme pressure to get this thing done. And we are coming to it. Now, you will find out that in the tape, Godfrey Dami gives assurances to Jakpa that if he cooperated with him, he will be acquitted. And I want to ask, who has the right in a court of law to pronounce the acquittal and discharge of suspects before the court? Is it the Attorney General or the judge?
The judge.
I mean, I'm a layman, I'm ignorant. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know law. Maybe my brother Yirimabo.
I'm not a lawyer.
My brother,
you people, lawyer, I know it's the judges.
So thank you very much for bailing me out. I didn't know that. But the Attorney General is here, giving assurances to suspects. He himself is prosecuting. Look at this irony. He is prosecuting the suspects, and it's the same person giving them assurances of their acquittal. When your mouth is full of water, you are blowing to the candle fire. What hypocrisy and double standards. And in any case, where did he get that authority from as Attorney General to be pronouncing on the acquittal and discharge of suspects? So if the Attorney General has now metamorphosed, or even a bigger form of metamorphosis is transmogrification.
Yeah.
If he has transmogrified to assume the powers of a judge, where did he get those powers from? For him to now wield the power and authority to decide on who to acquit and whom to convict. Now, again to legal people, you will bail me out again.
The roadside lawyers, we are here.
If a suspect is before court, it is presumed that you have a counsel, a lawyer.
Sure.
And is it ethically right for a third party to be engaging an accused person who has a lawyer without the knowledge and consent of his counsel?
Under cross-examination.
A very, that
to go outside the premises of the court to engage.
No, it's not done.
To go outside the premises of the court to engage an accused person without the knowledge and consent of his lawyer.
It's unethical, and it's against the legal profession.
So even as a lawyer, it's a breach of the ethical norms of the profession. And even for the bench, the Attorney General, who has those kinds of dual rules, is the first officer of the law. engaging in such despicable acts of misconduct, to go and engage an accused person without recourse to his counsel. And in all this, the General Legal Counsel and all, they are dead silent. I can assure you that if this had been an NDC person, my brother Yilman will be saying that if you can get feathers to pluck from a tortoise, what will you do when you get a fowl? You see, if this had been, they'll tear you to your skin. They'll tear you to your skin. All the legal gurus are that they are dead silent on this gross act of misconduct by an attorney general. Nobody. Let me make one or two exceptions. That Mr. Ansar Asari, former director of the Ghana Law School, and I salute him for the few voices of courage and love for our democratic process and for legality in this country. They are just him and just one or two other who have had the courage to speak out and ask the Attorney General to resign. And that if this was a very sane, ethical, moral government, this is an immoral government. That if the government had been moral, led by a morally upright person, this man should have been, if he refused to resign, would have been booted out of office long ago. So, again, he also told you about in the tape that the ongoing trial that is on, the ongoing trial, sorry, it will be tautology to say the ongoing trial that is on, it's ongoing. That he, Japa, is not the target. And the target is a minority leader, Honorable Atu KCL Atu Banforsen. And that all that he needed to do was to just agree, cooperate with him. And did not stop there. He went ahead to suggest to him how he should procure evidence, including faking some of them. This is an attorney general who asked somebody to go and fake excuse duty. Attorney general coaching people to do criminal things, to forge. Forgery is a crime. And an attorney general is coaching somebody to go and forge, to engage in acts of forgery, to procure and lie. When you go before the decision, you swear an oath that that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And should you lie, the penalties of the law shall catch you. I lie.
Yeah.
And this is an attorney general who even said also under that kind of is coaching people to lie. So these are very grievous acts. Not only should he be booted out, he must be arrested and also brought before court. This attorney general. Okay? Now he goes and tells Japa that you are not the target. There is somebody we are targeting. And you take note that he, the attorney general, had earlier filed a nolle prosequi for Animana. I'm sure who was also involved in the case. I'm sure you are aware. And now has gone to target Japa and told Japa that he is not the object. Atu Banforsen, minority leader, is the citizen because he's a thorn in the flesh of the MPP. And they need to seal his mouth. Okay? And that he also arrogated to himself, Attorney General, to determine when the trial will be concluded. By saying that the trial was supposed to conclude by the first week of May. You see what I was saying about the dangers he posed to even taking the case away from the judge. Because only the judge who has the exclusive authority and right to determine how the proceedings will go. Nobody has. So as far as revelations from this tape goes, it was an attempt to usurp the functions and authority of the judge, which is criminal, is illegal, is unconstitutional, is unwarranted, and not supported by any of our laws in this country. The Attorney General engaged in all these despicable, unspeakable acts of crime. and he's still in office. So how did he get the right to determine that by the first week of May, the trial should have ended? And why, if you ask, the first week of May? Because in the determination of the Attorney General and the political masses that he serves, they had selected this first week of May to conclude the thing in May because the Constitution of the Republic makes it not possible for an election to take place 6 months to a general election. True. So if it entered into June, given that 7th December is that, so by after the 7th of June,
it's over. There's no way.
It's over. So
as it stands now, it is over.
The Attorney General now arrogates to himself the right to draw the calendar for the trials in our courts. So he now fixes times when cases ought to be concluded. This is a gross violation of the law, for which anybody who is a perpetrator must not be allowed to be working free like he's doing today. He set the time, and that there will be after the first week of May, they would have incarcerated the minority leader, and that would necessitate the calling of a by-election. And listen to the worst that is yet to come. That in this by-election, the MPP government of Nana Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia is going to inject huge, massive amount of cash. Gargantuan cash will be injected into the election at Ejumako Enyan Esian, where the minority leader is member of parliament. And following his conviction, the MPP will win the Ejumako Enyan Esian and increase their parliamentary majority, and also use it as a bargaining chip. Now, listen to the worst part. When he was asked by Japa how that is supposed to be,
how sure
that seat, because it's an NDC area and an NDC dominated seat. He said, why? The people of Central Region, they are very cheap. Kotoboku. That they are very cheap. They are malleable. They can easily be bought. This is what we say about dignified citizens of this country who work hard to earn their living and their sustenance. This is how the MPP looks at the people of the Central Region. That they are cheap, they can be bought. No wonder in by-elections they feature so much money. Now, brother, this is the Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana. No wonder the country has sunk so low. The bar has been so lowered that people like this can become Attorney General. Incredible. And he commits all these atrocious acts and he's working free. I'm saying that if this was I don't want to use the word people use, that civilized country. If we were a very normal country, something drastic should have happened to this man.
Sure. Even he himself should have even put.
Yes, because that's why I said if he had a modicum of integrity and decency left in him, he should have gone long and not gone. He should have gone to find some village, the remote village, and hide there for the rest of his life. Because he has so embarrassed the office of the Attorney General that clearly is unthinkable. And I think Ghanaians should condemn in no uncertain terms the perception of hard-working, decent Ghanaians as a bunch of cheap people. There's somebody to describe such people of dignity and hard work as a bunch of cheap people who are malleable, can easily be bought. It's a grave insult. That Ghanaians as a whole, I'm not just saying even only the people from the Central Region, all of us as Ghanaians should feel a sense of revulsion.
That's right.
At this denigration of a section of our people. It is totally unacceptable. So not only should he come out and apologize and retract, but I think that the people of Central Region must show to the MPP that they are not cheap and malleable people, that they are hard-working, dignified people who earn decent means of living through hard work, and not through corrupt means like many of these MPP people do and want to place on them. And I want to submit that even you and I and the rest of us as Ghanaians must come out and speak against this tendency of undignifying our people. But I have said it. Comrade Mambo, I've said that me as a member of parliament,
Yes.
I have my day of accountability.
That's true.
And that one day I will stand before my maker and account for when I was made member of parliament. How did I lead my people? So just like any other person in authority, you are the Attorney General, you will be called to account. When you made Attorney General, did you dispense justice to all manner of people in a fair, firm and candid manner? Or you went on a vendetta and perpetrated a campaign of vindictiveness against your political opponents? Everybody will answer. The politician, the Attorney General, the judge, the policeman, everybody.
That's true.
And so it is important that while that authority is given to us as a privilege, it's not a right. You were not born to be Attorney General. It is by circumstances and chance that you got to be Attorney General. You ought to exercise that authority with a greater level of humility, truthfulness, fairness, and candidness. Because on the day of accountability, you will not have anybody to stand and speak for you.
Right.
And so that is why all of us should conduct ourselves in a manner that is befitting in the eyes of the Almighty Allah.
Right, thank you very much, Alhaji ABF Husseini. Let me do a few messages. Good morning, Bless, and to your great panelists. Bless, if what Jakpa said was true, then the president, who is the main driver, I wonder what he has taught his mates so far to drive this nation. The battle is more spiritual than physical. Proverbs 29:2. Richard Ajika from Adafienu Denu. Let me proceed to this one. Good morning, Bless. God is not asleep. This double standard and gross misconduct by the Attorney General in the ambulance case will be exposed big time. The mentality of persecution by the AG must stop. God save our young democracy from this clueless and incompetent government under Nanado and Dr. Baumia. My regards to Honorable Alhaji ABF Husseini from Buhari, Bukurusung, Tamale Central. Okay, thank you very much. Now let me come to...
I just wanted to plead with you. You know, I told you that I have a very crucial meeting.
Sure.
My committee, of which I'm a ranking member, is getting a briefing on this 5G from the Minister for Communications and the National Communication Authority. So I wanted to just, if I one topic to touch, or I can just go so that the rest can.
No. So okay. So briefly, if you can touch on the Asante Hene actually asking the ambulance or the vice president to tell him the truth about our situation as a country.
Let me say that. The Gombes have a proverb that says that when an elder is in the house, the grain will not be allowed to be soaked by the rain.
That's right.
And that if an elder has no morsel of food to give you, he has an item of wisdom to give you to guide you for some day. So that is the benefit of elders and others in our society, to counsel us on the right way forward. Right. So when politicians are seeking power and they go to chiefs and others, kings and others, it is for them to counsel them on what is the right way forward. And sometimes I feel sad that there are some chiefs and others who, instead of using that channel to give proper counsel, wise counsel to candidates, they say you are the best thing God has ever created. They become even sometimes more sycophantic than even the bootlickers in the party. But I want to salute Nana Otunfo Osei Tutu as one of the kings who will look you in the face and tell you what is right and proper. Who can tell you that, look at your even as you look at your achievements, look at your setbacks. Things that you have not said properly, go and apologize to people, seek their forgiveness, and work. He will not be like a sycophant that praises you to the high heavens. So the wise counsel that Otumfuo gave him. I remember I saw somewhere in some on WhatsApp, on some social media, and people tried to plaster the thing and said, it wasn't some indictment on him, or they didn't ask him to go back and look at his setbacks. Dr. Bawumia, is he an angel? In fact, he has more deficits on his side than even the angelic qualities. The man who is incapable, when he tells the truth, it will be a great wonder. Majority of the statements he makes turn out to be false. That's why I said that if Dr. Bawumia meets you and he greets you good morning, look at the position of the sun before you respond. So clearly, look at the man who was supposed to manage our economy. And I wish I had time. You go to all the macroeconomic indicators, they are in disarray. You look at the total debt when the MPP assumed power in 2017. From 120 billion under President Mama, that's from independence to President Mama, 120 billion to today 657 billion and still counting. That is as at September last year. We have crossed the 657 mark. MPP alone had added over 540 something billion in just 7.5 years. Inflation was 15% when President Mama left office. Today, under even the massage figure, because you cannot have exchange rate ballooning. You have food price index. You go and buy food today, you go tomorrow, the prices change. You have all the macroeconomic indicators going in the wrong direction, yet inflation is falling. Incredible. It's only in Ghana that you can churn out such statistics. But even with that massage statistics, they say it's what, 23%. When he took over from this, it was 15%. When he took over, the dollar was 3.8, 3.9. Even just make it 4. And they touted. I remember MPP went on rallies. Nana Akufo-Addo was singing songs that with Bawumia will have 1 CD, $1. 1 CD, $1. So you will say $1, they will say 1 CD, 1 CD, $1, $1, 1 CD. They were going to bring it down. Okay? So if even they had left the 4 CDs there, we say they are done well. Today the CD is 16 going to 17 CDs a dollar. Today. Many people in Abosokai who contributed monies to the MPP today are holding their hands in their head. And I said, Master, the Gombes have a proverb that when you cure a monkey of its toothache, it will visit your corn farm with devastation.
That's right.
Today they have it. Today they have it. Okay? So put debt to GDP, put everything. It's in disarray. Never in our countries, in the annals of our country's history, have we sunk so low. Our economy downgraded to junk, and even extra junk. If you are already junk, where are you? And they are making you extra junk. We have been booted out of the capital markets. Yeah. We have reneged on the payment of our debt. Not even under the military government of President Achampong. When we said Yentia, has Ghana ever defaulted on the payment of its debt? The Nana Akufo-Addo Bawumia government has disgraced us to that point. And you remember it was you, Dr. Bawumia, who said that Nana Akufo-Addo had brought him with the competence to manage the economy. And the economic team, management team he was leading. You remember I said, Professor John Bafor, Akoto Osei, Alan Chiramanting.
Yeah, Alan Chiramanting, very good.
He started mentioning them. I said, what a wonderful economic management team that is going to make progress. Today he has run away. He said that he's only a mate. Mumfa City money. Like a small boy whose ball has been taken away from him. Mumfa City, which City? He will only get the steer at Swabi magazine. That ceremonial steer. He will never come anywhere near the presidency. So I think that if he's amenable to going forward, he should listen to the wise counsel like the Otumfuo and others have given him. But I have said that Dr. Bawumia is already damaged goods. You see, bless the fish that has been caught from the river, smoked, dried, and put in the sea for sale. Can it walk back to the sea? That is how Dr. Bawumia is. He's damaged goods. He's smoked fish. He can never go back to the river. By the grace of Allah Almighty, they are opposition bound. The house, the MPP today is like a house that has fallen. You don't ask whether the roof is still standing. It's down and out. And no amount of palliatives can revive them. Right. The people of Ghana are only waiting for 7th of December to show them the exit. And with the support of my brother and comrades and the comrades here, I know that it's a passionate Alan Chiramating man. But Alan Chiramating is also calling for change.
We are all calling for
yes, and I know that I know that you are saying the change.
A very different change.
Yes, I know.
From the change.
Yes.
Change
be change. Oh, change be change.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
So thank you so much.
Let's go for a short break. Once we return, we'll discuss more on the show. Do stay. It's still the morning show. This is the newspaper review segment of the show live here on Pan-African Television. As usual, live from our studios at number 48 Monica Street in Abelemkpe, also across 46 other African countries via satellite. Alhaji B. Fusini has taken leave of us, but the show still continues. We would revisit that conversation about what transpired in court as far as the ambulance trial is concerned. I would also now permit Yeremambo Moses Ambeng to share his thoughts on latest developments as far as this case is concerned.
Bless. In fact, I think Alhaji has dealt with the case comprehensively. Okay, but you see, I'm also a little bit surprised. You know, if you listen to the recording, at a point in time, the Attorney General has himself said, I hope you're not recording me. His instinct was telling him that, you know, when you're doing something bad, your instinct tells you. So it was like, my brother, I hope you're not recording me. But you know, the lawyers will tell you, when it comes to gathering evidence, they are copious authority. It doesn't matter how you got it. Whether he feels that the guy has framed him or not, it doesn't matter. In the sight of the law, every evidence be evidence. It doesn't matter how you got the evidence. As far as you are now having a recording, the court is going to look at it. And I'm happy that yesterday, they are saying that they've admitted the tape as part of the evidence that they are going to. Now, Alhaji said something. Look, so far, I've heard some few MPP commentators say that, look, maybe the tape has been dotted. And when you ask them that, okay, so produce a real one, they are caught wanting. They don't have it. But everybody that knows Godfred knows his voice. And he himself has never denied that he's not the one on that tape. He is. He is the one. Everybody knows how Godfred talks. So that one, he cannot deny that fact. Now, in the first place, he should know better. He is a seasoned lawyer. Per their profession and their ethics. Why should you even engage somebody who is even a suspect in the case? How? How does that even arise in the first place? Hey, you are not even a state attorney or maybe just one of those junior lawyers at the Ministry of Attorney General or Ministry of Justice. No, you are the main man. So how do you even so low to go and engage a suspect in the case? I don't get it. Ethically wrong. The General Legal Counsel, this is a test case for them, because it is not within their norms that these things should even happen. More especially if the person is being represented by a counsel. And my son, he has very able lawyers, that is Jakpa. So even if you want to even engage him, you do that through his counsels. And that's his practice. You understand? So for me, this case, we all are very curious. We want to see how it ends. The political bit of it, which Alhaji was talking about, yes, we heard this since last year. Yes, anybody who didn't hear this, then it's not in the political arena. That they are going to find ways and means to grab Atuforsen. And so we also, when the NDC did that U-turn in Parliament, by switching their minority caucus as a leadership, we also read through that, is this also a strategy to further protect one of their own? If you could remember, we all woke up one day and we heard there was a letter, and now there's a change in leadership of the minority. All of a sudden, my good brother Haruna has been kicked out. So we all thought that, is this one of these political games or chess being played around? Because when you become a minority leader, of course, the party's focus, and you are the leader of the party in parliament, there is focus on you, and the party will do everything possible to protect you. So I thought that, yes, the political angle of it, that might have informed the NDC decision of switching their leadership within parliament, and now we have Honorable Atuforsen as a minority leader. By elections, you see, when I heard this yesterday, I laughed. That area, that traditionally these are CPP areas. And now that, well, unfortunately, has been taken over by the NDC, it will be extremely difficult for the MPP to win that constituency. Yeah. Now, even though over the years the central region has been some kind of a floating region where they can, vote skirt and blouse, but you see, when you gauge the mood of the people, on the current hardship in the system, it will be a miracle for me. If even though, granted, there was a by-election, that the NPP would have won that by-election. It won't happen. So I don't know the kind of calculations they were doing. So they were so desperate to have a majority because they felt that the current parliament was too tight for them. They couldn't have their way to maneuver, and they have to use all Machiavellian tactics to ensure that they have clear-cut majority. It won't work. In fact, what will even happen in the next parliament will even shock them the more. Yeah. Because in the next parliament, we will make sure to be well represented. We will make sure the correct culture is in there. And we are going to streamline things to ensure that, look, this time around, it's not going to be, no. We are going to ensure that policies are well scrutinized before they go through. Unfortunately for us, even though our brothers and sisters in the NDC had a great majority, or as in 137 seats, in some circumstances, they lose guard, and they couldn't use that assertion well. Some things went through parliament that I felt that with the numbers that they had, they shouldn't have allowed it. Okay, so I will not jump off. Coming back to the issue of this Attorney General, look, bless, I'm happy that they are admitting this into evidence. Because I knew they would come out with serious arguments about it being daughter, it was a private discussion, and as I said, lawyers will always tell you, no matter how you get the evidence, as far as it has some kind of connection with the case, it should be permitted. And I'm happy the Honorable Judge or her ladyship has agreed for such an evidence to be permitted in court. Now, what will happen? I don't know the time frame, but I can see this case not traveling beyond maybe September. I don't see it. Because when you read even what has transpired in court already, you realize that these ambulances, they brought in, I think, is it 10 or 20? And he said it was not fit for purpose. So the argument of Jakpa and Attorney General and Atuforsen is that who determined that these ambulances are not fit for purpose? Because if you say that have caused financial loss to the state, it means that you have to pinpoint to me that the gadgets or the buses or the ambulances that I bought are not fit for purpose and have wasted state resources. How to make that very clear is very difficult because we procured ambulances. There were standards that we procured. Is it that when the ambulance arrived, all those things that you wanted within the ambulance are mixing? They have to come clear. And I've seen pictures of those ambulances. In fact, when I saw it, it doesn't look like an ambulance. I don't know if you've seen those pictures. I don't know. You haven't seen those pictures of those ambulances. It looks more like a mobile clinic to me, where maybe in a building, maybe you can have one mobile clinic here, In terms of emergency, somebody can rush there, they can do certain things and take you to the hospital. And you see the regular ambulances because of speed. Because the one I saw, you could see that there's no speed in that car. But it will have all the necessary gadgets possible to do first aid. Yeah. So then, who then makes the determination? Because ambulances are supposed to save life and able to get you to a major facility within a specific time frame. But if this van is also capable of providing first aid and can save lives, what is the issue here? So for me, I'm very interested in how the Attorney General and his team are going to pinpoint to the judge that what they did was causing willful financial loss to the state because they did the wrong kind of investment. This is not the standard if you want to get ambulances, and it was done deliberately. It's going to be very difficult. And from the outset, I knew this case is going to travel long. And to pinpoint somebody to causing financial loss to the state, it's no small thing. You have to show beyond all reasonable doubt. So, bless, for me, yes, they say the wheels of justice grind slowly. We hope and pray that this case comes to a logical conclusion soonest. Let's say in 2-3 months' time, we know what it is. What it is. Because for us in the Convention People's Party, it shouldn't have even arose that we are playing politics with ambulances. When you listen to Jakpa very well, he will tell you that when even the MPP administration came to power, he went to the Ministry of Health and told them that, yes, I am the local rep for, is it BC? And we brought in some ambulance, but there are certain accessories you need to clear for us to also bring in to fit in. Because according to him,
yes, the ambulances
yes,
are not shipped with the accessories.
Thank you.
Because, I mean, we could just
precisely.
Yeah.
So when it comes, then they will have their own technical guys coming in. They don't fix those accessories into the car.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, according to Jakpa, I don't know how true this is. When he went to Ajmaminu, the former Minister of Health, and told him that this is what it is, the guy told him, oh, you know, the NDC have left power. We were also going to leave this for our MPP businessmen to handle. So we are also looking at procuring new ambulances. But I don't have any authority here. The headquarters and the party will determine what to do. And we started this process. And we were going to get over 200 ambulances. We halted this process and we procured new ambulances. The new ones that we see, the one that every constituency has one, that's 275. So we stopped this process of getting 200, even though we've committed some funds to it already. And we started a new process. What kind of system is this?
Also, the suppliers of the ambulance actually wanted to refund the money and then take the ambulance back because they didn't like the whole rigmarole and the whole back and forth, you know, with regards to the case. So
yeah,
they wanted,
and rightly so.
to,
and rightly so.
Yeah.
But you see, and even with this ambulance, it went to Parliament. There are letters to show that yes, they seek clearance from the Bank of Ghana. Everything. The transaction was not that very dubious as they are trying to portray. Because I took time to read most of the proceedings, and I saw that, in fact, the thing is not as dubious as they were trying to portray it. You understand? So, well, we are hoping. It's unfortunate that we are trying to play politics with ambulances. That is supposed to save life. That is how low we've come as a nation. That is how low the duopoly, the NDC, the APP has brought Ghana to play politics and with ambulances, something that is supposed to use to save lives. We are playing politics with it. So what is so beautiful that if we continue this process and even procured more, and every constituency is having 2 or 3, it helps, you know. So let's see what happens. It's unfortunate we play politics with this, but the justice has to prevail at the end of the day, and we don't want anybody to be convicted wrongly. And I'm happy that this audio too has also been leaked because people were hearing things, and we thought those things we were hearing were not true. But this audio
has actually confirmed.
Oh, come on!
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Doc.
Yes. I'll start by a quote from the Holy Scripture, and it says that, "For what does it profit a man when he gains the whole world and loses his soul?" Bless, I am not a Christian, but of course, as a Muslim, we also take into consideration the Old Testament and the Bible. Bless, politicians in this country, namely those that have occupied offices and those that are members of the two dominant parties, the MPP and the NDC, have lost their souls because they have gained the whole world. Today, we are here discussing a very trivial issue. Very trivial issue, to be very honest. And I quite agree with my brother that why are we politicizing an ambulance, the case of an ambulance, where the Attorney General, who is supposed to be the Minister of Justice, but today I can say clearly that he is the Minister of Injustice, is caught on record trying to sway the case against the accused and try and use his influences, right, and the powers that it doesn't have to acquit somebody from a case just to put his political opponent in prison. This is absolutely a politically motivated case which the MPP is kindly showing its political expediency in this matter. If you look at the legal profession, Bless, the General Legal Council was created by Parliament in an act of law in 1960. And if you look at the Legal Profession Act 1960, Act 32, it says that the General Legal Council would oversee the legal profession and education of the legal profession in Ghana. Today, the same Attorney General is a member of the General Legal Council.
Yes, right.
You understand? And if he is a member of the General Legal Council, and the judge is asking him to leave the case, and because there's a form of conflict of interest, and go to the General Legal, and is advising the NDC, Dr. Atuforsen, to report this matter to the General Legal Council, I don't think that the General Legal Council would see to the enhancement of justice and fairness in this matter. Because the lawyers will tell you that judo nimo inkasaswa, which is one of the pillars of natural justice, that you do not become a judge in your own case.
Yeah.
And the Attorney General is seen being a judge in his own case, which is a violation of the principle of natural justice, which is basic and fundamental in law. And so today, Bless, we see this phenomenon happening in our Fourth Republic as a result of what, Bless? Let's look at the fundamental of this issue, for God's sake. It is a flaw in the Constitution. If you look at Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution, Section 2, it says that the Attorney General will act in the nature of law, guided by two things. Either he is being ordered by the President or by provisions of the Constitution. Where in the 1992 Constitution, if you can prove to me, that states clearly that the Attorney General would ensure that he prosecutes his political opponents. Is there any provision in the 1992 Constitution that says that? But of course, we know where this is coming from. And this is clearly influenced by the presidency, right? And we've seen this phenomenon against the MPP, within the MPP and the NDC. Bless, in 2009, there was also another clear case, right, of political prosecution propagated by then the government of the late John Evans Atamos, His Excellency, of blessed memory. And it was a case between the state and the former Chief of Staff, Kojo Impienim, and Dr. Ureku Brobe, who was then the VRA boss, former VRA boss under the Kufuor administration. And they were charged of causing financial loss to the state because they were in charge of the Ghana at 50 program celebration. You quite remember? And it was a clear paradigm of what is happening today. And we've seen this over and over again, that the Constitution, the 1992 Constitution, has given absolute power to politicians. And so they do whatever they like. And if you look at the 1992 Constitution again, the president has the power to appoint the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice is the chairperson of the General Legal Council. And so if this case is being propagated by the president and is being influenced by the president, and we've seen clearly how he has been able to influence the Attorney General to conduct himself in an unethical manner against the norms and ethics of the profession, don't you think that he would also influence the CJ, who is the chairperson of the General Legal Council, if the case goes to the General Legal Council? I mean, this is food for thought for all Ghanaians. And that is why the only political organization in Ghana that is serious about reforming the 1992 Constitution, led by Honorable Alan Kojo Tramante, is the Movement for Change. That it is time we amend the Constitution that has given absolute power to corrupt politicians, right? So that at the end of the day, the rule of law will prevail in Ghana, and people would adhere to principles of natural justice in dealing with legal matters.
Good morning, host. I'm scandalized. This government is not only corrupt and empty, but wicked. How did we find ourselves here? What is our peace council, men of God, doing? Isaac from Wager. Thank you, Isaac, for your message. Bless. If it were in some serious jurisdiction, this AG would have resigned. But in the government of Akufo-Addo, resigning is an abomination. This court case of Atuforsen is a waste of money and time. Sami in Adenta. Thank you, Sami, for your message. Good morning, Bless. Nanado can park all the Achim lawyers and judges in his so-called law house. That building and its contents will not scare us. We'll push the crooks out by all means. Inshallah. Bibi from Accra, thank you, Bibi, for your message. I guess the Attorney General is naive, because if he considers any of the regions cheap, he should definitely know that the region that hosted first the white man is not cheap. In fact, he should pass ruling on Kumeu, Ejisu, and Asin North and come out with the one that is the cheapest. Kofi Asante from Enyan Denchira. Thank you, Kofi Asante, for your message. This one here says, good morning, Blessed. When did this ambulance saga start? Was it not during the NDC regime? Was it not the NDC government officials in charge of Ministry of Health that said the ambulance weren't fit for purpose and must be rejected? Why would people try to deceive everyone as if it's the NPP government that started the case? They should allow the courts to deal with the case. Bless, have a great day. That is not true. James from Winneba sent this one. Bless, nice to see Alhaji ABF Husseini, the father of Proverbs. You're right. It says if you can pluck feathers from a tortoise. You're right. The Minister for Injustice behaves like a party foot soldier, rented by the mother serpents to manipulate the judiciary to criminalize his opponents. But fellow Ghanaians, don't be surprised. Please do not call, I beg you. Don't be surprised, since all appointees of Akufo-Addo, namely Mensah, Chief Justice, Ken Atafua, IGPs, Bosman Asare, and ministers have been assigned to corrupt institutions and do dirty works for the Aceh Mafia and not to seek the interest of Ghana. Indeed, to demand justice from a baby serpent is like crying for the moon or asking the hyena to stop shedding blood. AG must be gone, for he has outlived his usefulness to his office. Really a citizen, not a spectator. Thank you very much. Good morning, Pan-African TV. My special greetings to my brother in the studio, especially Dr. Ramsey from Malam Osman, Armed Forces Islamic School, Bema Camp. All right, thank you. Good morning, Mr. ALORMASOR. Good morning to your panelists. The silence of the Ghana Bar Association and the General Legal Council on the misconduct of this AG, coupled with their behavior in Mr. Chachu Chikata's incarceration, is a statement to the NDC that when we get power again, we should not behave like we are second-class citizens of this country, as we did between 2009 and 2016. JS Husseini in Tamale. Thank you. Amofa Felicity says, bless. My question is, why Atuforsen but not Seth Tekbe? Ato was just a deputy minister, so sending him to court is just mere hatred. So the time is coming when Ken Ofori-Atta will go scot-free while his deputies will be in jail. Never. Prince Ako says, how can we, the people of Central Region, be cheap? Check the voting records in Central Region. Musa Abatwa says, the judge's decision to admit the leak tape where the Attorney General was coercing Richard Jakpa to implicate Ato Forsen in the ambulance case is a commendable step towards justice and transparency. This move sheds light on the unfortunate conduct of President Akufo-Addo and then the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, who were reportedly pressuring AG Godfrey Dame to use legal maneuvers to unjustly imprison Ato Forsen. Thank you so much, Musa Abatwa, for your message. Edward Dugbaza says the Constitution Review Committee must focus more on the reform of the judiciary. The justice delivery system in Ghana is so rotten. All they do is selective justice. Everyone must be equal before the law. This government is the most corrupt since the independence. Why is that not even one of them have been prosecuted? And this one came from Dugbaza. Let me read this final one from Alhaji Hamza. Good morning, my brother. In fact, I think I can't think far. It is a fact that Ghana is broke due to the reckless spending of this government. Why did the AG refuse to collect the €2 million Big C paid to the country? I don't get it. It is a fact nobody imports ambulances into a country with the medical equipment. The medical equipment will be shipped into the country later for it to be fixed. But as we speak, the medical equipment are left to rot at the harbour. This AG has succeeded in bringing shame to this country, to his family, to the MPP party, and for that matter himself. God have mercy. This one came from Alhaji Hamza. Thank you, Alhaji Hamza. Right.
Bless, to add to what I was submitting here, if indeed the Attorney General was acting in principle to persecute somebody that caused financial loss to the state, there are two people that should have been before the court for causing financial loss to the state. The first is the former Minister for Roads and Highways. Do you remember?
Yeah.
When he repealed the road toll system, it was not an act of parliament. They had no prior approval of parliament.
But Ramsey, this issue nearly went to court.
He had no approval of parliament, yet he repealed the road toll system just for political expediency, right? And we've lost millions of Ghana cedis from that. Millions. A lot of people are unemployed because of that. And today, this same government is prosecuting somebody for causing financial loss to the state. Do you remember Ken Ofori-Atta, the most incompetent finance minister we've ever had in our country, allocated $58 million to the National Cathedral without prior approval of Parliament, and today is touted as the biggest hole and the most expensive hole
in the world.
Yeah. Bless. If this is not hypocrisy and double standards, what is it? So we have to be guided. And this should be an education to the people of Ghana that we cannot move forward if we do not deal with the duopoly of the MPP and the NDC, and also deal with issues in our constitution. Because the constitution has enabled the politicians have absolute power, and he has been corrupted by that absolute power that today he would not even listen to the ordinary Ghanaians. He would not listen to the plights and the woes of the ordinary Ghanaian. And that is why we're stuck with these kind of predicaments till date. And until we amend certain flaws in the constitution, and until we ensure that there is equal rights and justice for all in this country, bless, we will still remain in this. But I'm glad that we have some form of hope, because a leader has appeared. And if you look at this current month, on the 12th of June 1949, we quite remember, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah left the UGCC to form the CPP. And he was underrated because he had, they said he had veranda boys and all that. But he left that on principle because he owes fealty to the people of Ghana, right? And the people of Ghana is prime and is apical to whatever other interest he has. And he won the election to be the first president of Ghana under the CPP regime. And so history will repeat itself. And I keep on repeating that Honorable Alan Kojo Tramante, looking at his advancement and achievement in government, right, and in the sector of industrialization, that today Ghana has the capacity to assemble and produce over 125,000 vehicles. And so Honorable Alan Kojo Tramante is the hope of this country. And he will be that black star of Ghana and the reincarnation of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Thank you very much. Any Ghanaian who voted for the Johnson from Agotime Ketwe. I'm very sorry for Akufo-Addo and his government described the good people of Central Region as sheep people. We thank him so much. Bless. In the Ghana at 50 case, it was not a political witch hunt. KVIPs were built on paper, but if you went to the locations, there were no buildings or signs of buildings, and duty bearers needed to answer to those deception with huge sums of money spent on those non-existing project. J.S. Husseini from Tamale. Thank you, J.S. Husseini. Hello, good morning to you and your panel members. Please, I want to talk about the nursing trainee allowance. I must say the sitting government is doing well by recently paying some of the old allowances, but I don't understand why the government decided to pay for only continuing students and left behind with those that completed last year. Owing us 15 months. The government should put in mind our population is more than those they have paid. Thanks. Silasowa from Teshi says, I want to know this before I vote for the NDC. If John Mahama wins this 2024 elections, is he going to do father for all? Is he going to do father for all?
The same continuation.
Right. Good morning, Pan-African TV. About the ambulance case, to know the real truth, take all to a shrine. This is Abang from Aiden. All right. Thank you for your message. What happened to South Africa's ANC's party will happen to MPP in Ghana come December 7, 2024 by Napoleon Bonaparte in Tumu, Sankofa base. Thank you, right, for your messages. Let me proceed to this final topic, which hurts me so much. Unfortunately, I beg you. I beg you. I beg you. I beg you. Maybe you can combine the two for me because we do not have time. And this topic is so dear to my heart that an injured old woman has died after the Winneba Hospital abandoned her in the bush. So this woman was admitted at the hospital. 2 months. Yes, she was admitted at the hospital, but no family member of hers showed up. She was actually involved in an accident, had to be bandaged and and all of that. No family member of her showed up, and I think she was then, and she was going through some trauma. It developed into some brain issues. Doc is here, so you would have the right words, the right medical terms for these things, and she was becoming. Allegedly, she was becoming a nuisance in the hospital there. So they felt the best thing to do was to put her in an ambulance and go and leave her somewhere in the bush. I'm sorry, you haven't seen the video.
HEADMAN's rule.
Right. They went to leave her somewhere in the bush for days. And I saw the video when the media approached, ants and stuff were eating her. The woman has died.
Hey. Is it a movie?
No, it's not a movie. It is not a movie.
Well, maybe
it is not a movie. I'm coming. So the Ghana Health.
What are you talking about?
Yes, it is not a movie. These are people who have undergone training.
So this happened at Winneba?
Yes, yeah, in Ghana, in the Central Region.
I think we should do this as a special assignment, Bless. We have to follow up this case.
Yes.
And see whether or not health will rule.
Yes, so the Ghana Health Service has released a statement. They said the attention of leadership of the Ghana Health Service has been drawn to a media story about a patient allegedly abandoned in a bush at Gomoa Ujubi in the Central Region. According to the story, it is alleged that the said patient was on admission at the Trauma and Specialist Hospital in Winneba, and after her relatives had failed to show up, she was conveyed in the hospital's ambulance and left in the wheelchair at Ujubi, where she claimed to be her hometown, and was later found dead. You see, this press release doesn't even do proper justice to where she was left. She was left in Ojobi as if they took her to their house. No, she was left in the bush. I'll try to get the video.
I think I saw pictures of that.
There's actually a video.
And there was a wheelchair.
Yeah, there was a wheelchair. And
they left her in the wheelchair.
And then she just to die there. So the service, upon receiving this disturbing news, has initiated investigations into the matter to establish the authenticity or otherwise of the story, in line with the existing practices in the public service, to enable it to take appropriate action. The service wishes to appeal to the general public to be patient, as anyone found to be connected with this unfortunate incident will be severely dealt in accordance with provisions of the Services Code of Conduct. Signed, Dr. Patrick Kumar Boaje, Director General of the Ghana Health Service. So, Dr. Ramsey.
Bless.
Yeah.
This phenomenon is now that it is coming out, because they say that when the cup is full, the water will flow out or run out. Now, Bless, Ghana's health care system has been plagued with so many professional incompetence and unethical practices. And we know that for a fact. The nature of attitude of some healthcare workers in this country is something of concern, because if you're a healthcare worker, first and foremost, you should be God-fearing and a compassionate person. You should be empathetic. You understand? And patient in nature. But unfortunately today, anybody just gets up and gets whatever degree and calls himself a nurse or a doctor and is practicing in an unethical manner. This case is something that is sad, and I personally would follow up on this as well. And I would like to work with my brother here, and also your media house.
Yeah.
I remember as way back as 2021, I led a team of police officers. We did an operation in Greater Accra, right? And that was under the aegis of the then former regional commander, now COP Alhaji Idi Fuseni. Idi Sedu, sorry. Alhaji Idi Sedu, which is he is one of the most competent and astute police officers I've ever met in my life in Ghana. And we raided a lot of market centers because we realized that there were a lot of fake drugs in the system that were contributing to chronic diseases. We call them fake allopathic drugs, right? That didn't have the threshold for that active ingredient to be able to have some pharmacodynamic or pharmacokinetic effects of the body. And this FDA that we have today, and their leader, and then some heads of the pharmacovigilance and then market surveillance are not doing their job properly. We all know that we have these guys that hold baskets and roam around. We call them abochis, right? That's aphrodisiacs and all that. Yeah. And these concoctions that they claim to have some therapeutic effect, which in other sense causes a lot of health adverse effects to the ordinary Ghanaian that is not discerning to be able to know that, yes, indeed, this is very harmful. Bless. And so we have issues as far as our regulatory bodies are concerned. The regulators of our health care sector have to rise up to the occasion and make sure that they conduct their jobs in a very professional and transparent manner. Bless. For the Ghana Health Service to come out with this press release shows that if I was the president, I would have sacked the head of the Ghana Health Service for coming out with such derogatory release. How dare they? An innocent person who went to the hospital was admitted for 2 months. And when I read the article, I realized that the woman was also diagnosed with dementia. She already had dementia before the accident happened. And so with people like that, they would have some form of hallucinations and all that and would scream. Yeah. And so that was what happened. And so if the hospital realized that, what did the doctors do? You should have managed that aspect as well, whilst managing the wounds and then other adverse health issues that the woman had as a result of the accident, right? And then they conspire to release this person in a bush because you don't know the relatives. In other serious jurisdictions, if you've admitted a patient without any next of kin, what you do is that you engage the media and then you involve the police to trace her roots. And of course, I don't know, they said Ghana card. I don't know if they also use, or the Ghana card is also failing in this regards, right? So I want to get clarity on that. Did the hospital engage the media? Right? We all know when we're growing up, when the missing persons in society, they put a picture on, in the various media platforms, and then if you've seen such a person, they'll give certain descriptions of the person, and then if there's any sign of that person in any location, you would call out the police and or the number that has been put forward. And so, bless, we need to come clean on this issue. The police should handle this matter in a fair and transparent manner. If I was the president, the head of the Ghana Health Service should be sacked for allowing such a press release to come out in defense of the hospital. The medical director of that hospital has to resign and has to be sacked, because every life in Ghana matters. Every life in Ghana matters, irrespective of who you are, your status in society. Bless. Right. And we've seen that in countless occasions, that when you go to the hospital, people are given different treatments because of their wealth or their status in society, which is against the norms and ethics of the health profession. Right. And we cannot continue like this, bless. And so I'm pleading with the police, the Minister of Health, and the President to act on this matter, because one life lost, right, is worth much more than gold.
It's one too many, actually. Right. Thank you very much, Ramsey. Rambo.
Hey, this is so unfortunate, eh?
Very.
So we've come to an age where people are so not sympathetic with each other. We could even do this to a fellow, Ghanaian. I find it difficult to understand, because I know preparatus. When you go to the hospitals, look, there are a lot of people there. They are well, but because of one thing or the other, even if you cannot afford the bills, you are not sent away. You are kept. And they will bring the Department of Social Welfare. They will try, as he's saying, to go and locate your family by using the police. So they will ask you a series of questions, and the Department of Social Welfare will try to get in touch with your family. And even the Department of Social Welfare is supposed to aid with the paying of the bills. It is done. Recently, I went to Nico. That is where the babies are kept at Rich Hospital. There were babies there. They say the parents have absconded because of the bills. They cannot afford it. But it is incumbent on the hospital to cater for those babies at a time where the parents reappear. And that is how it is. So there are babies there who have been there for 4 or 5 months. They can't find their parents because the bills, as we know, were so huge, and the parents absconded, and they've not even found them till now. And they are still keeping the babies because that is practice. You have to keep them at a time where you have to investigate and find the parents. So for me, I believe that this is so an unfortunate situation. And I believe that, look, for all you know, maybe this is what we've seen and it has come to the public light. Maybe hospitals have been doing this secretly and we don't know of it. Yeah. Honestly, it means they've been doing it.
Look, and that's happened. I'll tell you a story, not to cut you.
Yes.
In 2019, I did some clinical rotation in Kolebu, and I was at the pathology department. And I'll say this on record, right? I can't remember the doctor's name. If I did, I would have actually followed up on this case. And a lady who suffered from eclampsia due to pregnancy, which is one of the common, what do you call it, diseases in pregnancy, lost her life by means of the doctor trying to take out the baby through a C-section, cesarean section, right, to save the baby and save the mother. And it appeared that there was no blood, because if you're going to conduct a cesarean section, you need to have blood, so that the person does not suffer from what we call hypovolumic shock, right? And so the mother died and the baby died. Then in the morgue, listen, the doctor that conducted the surgery came to the morgue to cut a deal with the pathologist to try and, find something that was not the cause of the death, so that he will not be a culprit of any legal issues. I am telling you. And so it does happen. And the Ghana Medical and Dental Council has to rise up and ensure that there's discipline in our healthcare sector. Bless. A lot of people have lost their souls and gained the world in the medical profession. Right? And it is time we rise. And Ghanaians have to be educated. You, the media, should also educate Ghanaians on their rights. Because a lot of people don't know their rights.
Right. Our time is up.
So it's not. It can be up. So now, yes, thanks for that intervention. So for me, health will have to rule. And as I said, this should be a special assignment for Pan-African TV, because we have to follow up on this case. Because for us to do this to a woman, I don't know how old she is. It should be maybe in her 50s or 60s. I believe it's against fundamental human rights. And I believe that moving forward, the Ministry of Health and the Director of Ghana Health Service, this should, because you should have investigated the matter before coming out.
Yeah.
He came out with just this statement to say what? That statement is hollow. Investigate further and let us know. Yes, this was a facility the lady was in. This was the ambulance, the registration number of the ambulance. This was the driver. Look, we need details. And I believe within 48 hours, they should be able to get these things.
Right.
So bless, tying it in with what Otumfuo Sikoko Sudana, the advice he gave the vice president is very crucial. We are in election year. The people around you will need to tell you the truth. They need to. There was a research recently. They said one professor, Smart Sapon, said he was more popular. He was more popular than the NDC candidate or any other presidential candidate. But when it comes to the party, the NDC was more popular. When I heard it, I said, well, if they say somebody is popular, you can be popular for the wrong reasons.
Of course.
I just thought about it. You can be popular,
But for the wrong reason.
yes. So me, when I heard that people say it is not true, it is actually very true. The guy is popular.
Right.
Very popular.
But just for the wrong reasons. Thank you very much. Very sad story there about that woman. You'd actually go and check the administrator of that hospital, and then you'd actually find out that he's either Christian or Muslim. And
That's why I said that.
You'd have people who go to church.
See, which hospital was that?
In Winneba. Yeah.
The trauma.
Yeah.
But it's serious.
Very serious. Very serious.
Oh, but we need answers. I think
We do need answers.
Tell me.
Yeah.
My mind, when you come here,
We'd have to follow up. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Yirmambo.
Thank you, my
Except that you come late, or you came late, and I don't like that.
Special assignment.
And our viewers don't like that. And thank you to Dr. Ramsey. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.